good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are watching us from. You are welcome to today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest, brought to you by Sedat Consult Limited. Today, with the help of an experienced professional, we are going to discuss a topic very important and dear as a professional wherever you are and you find yourself and in any field at all. Today, we are going to discuss skills for the future of work. So let us know in the comment section your name and where you are watching us from. Kindly also share this link to your lists of contacts for them to tap in and then learn from this intriguing conversation we are going to have. This is Sedat Consult Limited, your HR and business development consultant. Consider your basic employee life cycle from recruitment and talent acquisition to training and development to performance management through to compensation and benefits and other remunerations. Sedat Consult is ever ready to assist you in any of these fields. So I can see Kelvin watching from Accra. Kelvin, you are welcome. So once again, kindly share this link to your contact list and everyone else watching. I can also see Supernatural Intern watching from Accra. Welcome, Supernatural. So as I mentioned, we are going to discuss skills for the future of work with an experienced professional. So as part of our services and our commitment to continuous professional development, we have a list of trainings we are organizing. The first I will talk about is the organizing an effective training and development, which is happening on the 2nd and 3rd of July at our Kumasi office. This is a 2-day training costing 2,600 Ghana cedis. I would entreat you to add this to your calendar and join us when the time is due. The next I will talk about is HR data analytics. We have data all over around us, but it is up to us as HR professionals and business leaders to turn this data into business results. And so from the 15th to the 17th of July, we are organizing this training at our Accra office. It's a 3-day training going for 3,600 Ghana cedis. Adding to that, we are committed to continuous professional development, and so we are calling on mentors and mentees, linking experienced professionals to novices, connecting early career professionals and final year students to experienced professionals to create harmony and for them to guide them through their career path. If you are looking for a place to work, a conducive environment to work, especially for remote workers, Sedat Consult has workspaces available at our Accra office at La Paz for you to use. You'll find suitable amenities, you'll find suitable workspaces and a fast internet connection to serve all your purposes. And so once again, you are welcome if you just joined us. This is the Sedat HR Digest. I can see John, who is joining from Akosombo. Welcome, John. There is also John Evans Otre, watching from Accra. Welcome, John Evans. And you also have Victor, watching from Tantra Hills. You are welcome, Victor. And so I'll move on and introduce our speaker today, and a very experienced professional for that matter, who goes by the name Jeffrey Mac Boham. So Jeffrey is an HR and AI-driven future-focused strategic learning and development professional with 20 years of global experience across government, corporate, and non-profit sectors. He is currently serving as a senior curriculum specialist at the U.S. National Foreign Affairs Training Center, formerly the U.S. Foreign Services Institute. Jeffrey designs and delivers high-impact training for foreign service officers deployed worldwide. He is also a principal consultant at the Team Pact Solutions LLC, a boutique learning and HR advisory firm based in Maryland in the USA. His career spans influential roles, some of which include a senior performance management specialist at the US Department of Labor, new employee onboarding and orientation design planning and execution, program management learning designer for NASA-aligned teams at Sierra Space. He is a senior learning advisor at AARP. He's an instructional design manager at Aerotech, a global staffing and workforce solutions firm. He's a learning evaluation expert, having worked for Dawn and Kim Kirkpatrick. Jeffrey holds 3 master's degrees in business, HR development, and instructional design, and industry certifications in PMP, SPHRI, and SHRM CSCP. He is a lifelong learner and a global thinker. He is passionate about the intersection of AI and workforce transformation. Jeffrey is also an accomplished public speaker. So this is the gentleman we have in our midst, an experienced professional, to discuss the topic, skills for the future of work. You are welcome, sir.
Thank you. Your introduction makes me feel like this big guy, but I'm a hustler, you know.
No. In reality, I've even shortened it. You are exactly what I have said.
I'm a hustler, like everyone.
Yes, so you are welcome again, sir, to today's episode.
Thank you, sir.
And so we'll jump straight into the conversation. Skills for the future of work. The phrase "the future of work" gets used a lot these days. In your view, what does it actually mean in practical terms for the average working professional in Africa right now?
Thank you very much, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with your population. You know, when you talk about the future of work, what, in my opinion, based on my research, what it means is that work itself is changing. You know, so people have to realign their skill sets in order to adapt to the change. For example, when you look at World Economic Forum data, this is painful to hear, but 6 out of 10 current jobs should be lost soon. So let's start with the painful thing for people to hear. You know, the jobs that we have currently, the nature of those jobs are going to change. So people will get a tap on the shoulder. I'm sorry, but we don't need you anymore. Even though you're doing very good in your current role, the nature of the job has changed. Why? Because AI is disrupting everything. AI is penetrating every aspect of life. Think about it this way. Let's use a simple analogy. Prior to the use of computers, people were just writing papers, right? And then the laptop came on board, and people were like, go learn computer skills. The people who didn't learn it, they got a tap on the shoulder. The company now uses computers for this role. So if you can't use a computer, we're sorry. But Kwame, who learned how to use a computer, is a new person for the role. The company didn't do you bad. They told you 5 months ago to go learn computer skills. You chose not to learn it. So that's what's going to happen again. Whether we like it or not, AI is going to be part of the future. AI is the future. AI is the now. It's moving into the future. So when we talk about the future of work, let's go back to it. What it means is that the nature of how work is done today is going to change. Now, it started changing already. I mean, if you look across the globe, you know, companies are laying off and hiring new. It's not like jobs are going to reduce. New jobs are going to be created. So there's this popular phrase, you know, AI is not going to eliminate your job, or AI is not going to take you out of a job. It's the people who learn how to use AI who will take you away from the job. So that's the reality we're dealing with. When we talk about the future of work, it means work is changing. And even though it started changing now, we have to position ourselves, learn new adaptive skills, predict what's going to happen, prepare to meet it so that we can be relevant now and in the future. That's how I would put it.
This is a very straightforward response from you, but I guess it's better you know your left from your right than to live in oblivion. And so
You
thank
know,
you for the response.
it's a good thing. The more I mature and experience in life, the more I realize that sugarcoating things sometimes holds us back. So I'm sorry, but today I'm going to tell the truth from what I know. You know, if a teacher tells you that if you get less than 70%, they're going to fail you, and you get 69% and you fail, don't blame the teacher, blame yourself. You know, so that's the truth we have to deal with.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, so on to the next question. Would like to know what you think is the single best or the single biggest misconception people have about the skills they will need over the next 5 to 10 years. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about this question?
The skills people are going to need?
In the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, I think, unfortunately, I hear this quite a bit in HR circles. Oh, AI is not going to last. AI is going to drop dead. AI is just a fluke. It's going to happen just for a short period of time. Well, let those people know that they are rather going to lose their jobs. Okay, so what is going to happen is that this whole idea, the people who are pushing back, I see that all the time. People who say, I don't believe in AI, AI hallucinates. Everything gets better and better with time, even our typing speed. Some people started typing at 28 words per minute, and then they moved to 35, and then now they are 90 words per minute, and it's normal to them. AI is getting more and more precise, and AI is positioning itself to kick you out of a job. So I think that what's going to be most relevant, or the most misconception that people have, is that AI is not going to last for long. I'm telling you, just from what I see, AI is not going anywhere. AI is with us, and it's going to stay forever. It's going to be the way work gets done going into the future. So embrace it now, or you become a dinosaur sitting at your desk. Yeah.
Very well said. So the next question, I'm sure everyone listening to us now have heard of the terms technical skills and soft skills. There has been a lot of conversation around this topic for the longest time, and we'd like for you to tell us what you think of this whole conversation, technical skills versus soft skills. How are they going to be needed in the future?
That's very good. That's a very good question. Technical skills will always be there. I mean, technical proficiency, engineering, some of these things, just making things happen will always be there. What people call soft skills, to me, it has a negative connotation. Okay, if that's the case, why is it that the people who have those soft skills tend to lead companies? You get a point. So things such as empathy, like leadership, like communication. Let me give you one surprising statistic. There is data, okay, there's data to prove, and this is coming from Harvard University, there's data to prove that for the same technical skills, okay, people who have better communication skills will make more than 4 times their technical contemporaries. Does that make sense? So you have an engineering degree, somebody has an engineering degree, but that person is a better communicator. That person is able to explain and justify why that skill is needed in the workplace and in what they do to leadership. That person will become your manager, and that person will become your director while you still sit in the office typing. So I don't want to call them soft skills. I want to call them power skills. And what I think is going to happen, I call them power skills or leadership skills. What I think is going to happen is it's going to evolve from being gradually behind technical skills at this point, because AI is dominating everything, to partnering with it, to actually overtaking it. Because if you look at the evolution of society, okay, if you look at the evolution of society, it generally started as agrarian. Everybody was farming. Then it moved towards industrialization, where machines, workplaces, people started clocking in and out. And then it moved towards knowledge, where we had a lot of consulting firms. People became like the human containers. The mere fact that they could speak big English, could go write things, they became consultants, they worked for the big companies. Okay. Then gradually, AI started coming on board. So we, the knowledge workers, are being gradually obliterated. So technical skills is actually dominating now. But once everything gets automated, okay, the skill that's going to stand out would be what I call the power skills, the human feeling. That person who can go into the room and read the room and immediately say, Kwame, I think you're the best person for this role because I've been observing the way your mannerisms are and things like that. That person who can intuitively, that from the technical economy, we're going to move to the feeling economy, believe it or not. And that's when women are going to dominate. I'm sorry, man, that's the truth. Because women are more naturally intuitive than men.
Yes.
Okay, a woman can get into a room and tell you, I don't connect with this person, something is wrong. You find it's natural. You find out maybe after some years that they were right. They picked up something. Okay, so what we call soft skills is going to emerge as powerful leadership skills. At this point, it is slightly lagging behind technical skills. And leadership, for example, we are at a point where people in the past, just the recent past, about 10, 15 years ago, having been to an Ivy League university, for example, would make people get selected. Okay, would be, they went to Harvard, they went to Yale, they went to Carnegie Mellon, those things. Those people don't matter anymore. They read the same books as the market folk. Even though they do more practical work and still the labels do sell quite a bit, gradually the value of that kind of education is going to drop down to what you can do. And that's where we're moving towards the technical skills. But it will get to a point where not necessarily the person who has the best degree or the person who has the best skill, but the person who can read the environment and adjust things and make things work is the person who's going to dominate. So the soft skills are gradually going to take over, but it may not happen in the next 5 to 10 years. Let's say 10, 15 years when AI becomes standardized. Okay, when everybody's automating everything, think about it. You wake up in the morning and your computer sends you messages. These are the things you need to do. When you don't longer need an executive assistant, it's that person who's going to sit next to you and say, hey, the way I saw Mike behaving, I think we need to talk to him. He's not connecting well. He's not engaged. So people who can pick up those skills, people who have better sensing, are going to actually be doing very well. So realistically, those skills that you call soft skills, they are not as strong. I mean, they're strong in leadership. They are not as strong on the ground yet compared to like technical skills, but they're going to overtake technical skills within the short period, if what I'm saying is making sense.
It makes perfect sense. You mentioned something about the change being gradual. And what I have noticed about gradual changes is that most often than not, if you do not pay attention, you would miss it because it is gradual and very minute. And so if you don't take care, you may miss it and then it comes back to bite you. So the next question, discussing this topic, skills for the future of work. I'm pretty much sure that whoever is listening attentively has their focus on the topic concerning entry-level roles and mid-level roles. What do you think this topic it talks about the C-suites and the managers? Is it the same? Does it relate the same to them as it relates to the entry-level roles and the mid-level roles?
I'm a bit unclear. Can you explain the question again? Sorry.
Yes, so we often talk about skills in the context of entry-level roles and mid-level roles. So the skills for the future of work. What does it mean for managers and leaders?
That's a good question. Well, managers and leaders are employees too. So they also need skills. Think about it this way. If your employee is sick and can't show up at work, you, the manager, should be able to go to their desk, log into their computer, and do what they were doing. So you also require skills at the individual performance level. So it's relevant for managers and leaders. And also, managers and leaders have a requirement to also learn artificial intelligence, for example, because spitting opinions is not going to matter anymore. I mean, let me tell you something. My daughter, put it 15 years ago, I would tell her things and she would nod her head. But now she has a cell phone. So if you tell her Kwame Nkrumah was born this year, Daddy, wait, let me check. So you have to be data driven. You get what I mean? If you want to lead people successfully, you have to really understand the numbers. You have to understand the relevancy. You have to understand how what you're saying is backed by information. If you go to a lot of governments across the world, they don't listen to your opinions anymore. They say, what's the evidence backing it? Which research supports that? So realistically, when you talk about skills, and I think skills should be in the context of everybody, not necessarily just mid-career or mid-level or entry-level employees. Leaders are also employees. So when you talk about skills, everybody needs the skills. And I will say that the most important skill that's needed right now is AI literacy, because that's going to be the language of the workplace. Okay, if we talk about LLMs, LQMs, RAG, and you don't understand it, I'm sorry, you don't belong to the workplace. Go sell your bread. Everybody wants you. You can have a PhD, go sell your bread, because AI literacy, prompt engineering, that's the language. I mean, when you go to meetings, that's what they'll be talking about. And you know one thing, it's not like you have to go to a big university to get it. You can go to ChatGPT. Everybody has a phone. We check Facebook on phones, right? Go to ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT to give you the top 15 most important, or most used AI terminology in your industry, in your country. It will list it for you and explain them to me, how you would explain them to a 5-year-old. You understand everything. So for me, it's all about dedicating yourself to it. I mean, if you go to Holland or if you go to Italy to hustle, you have to speak their language first, right? But we go to these countries and we learn their languages, and then we pick the phone. We act. So why don't we learn AI language? That's going to be what's going to be used in the workplace. So the truth is, let's get serious about AI literacy. Let's get serious about digital fluency. Let's get serious. Let's not just regurgitate them. Let's really look at how they apply to the work that we do. We want to be able to, you want to watch a movie and understand everything they said. In the same vein, the IT folk, when they come to meetings, they're going to use those terms. They're going to explain those terms to the leaders. So for me, those of us who are I'm not too young or not too old, but those of us who are lucky to still be in the workplace, we need to adapt this thing very quickly. And it's not like we have to pay and take courses. We can just find them out ourselves. You can even just go to conferences, pick brochures, read books. If you don't understand something, go to the dictionary. Okay. I think that's what we need to be focusing on. Hey, who's this? Somebody said, I see Happy Anochi says, Happy Anochi Sapon says, serious about AI literacy. Thanks. Many thanks, Jeff. Thank you very much, Happy. I think I know Happy.
Yes, so once again, welcome if you just joined us. This is the Sedat HR Digest, brought to you by Sedat Consult Limited. Kindly let us know where you are watching us from and your name in the comments. And so I see Aliyu, who is watching from Kumasi. I see Rita watching from Accra. And I also see Jerome, who says he is attentively listening on his way to Senfosu. Wow. And there's Happy Anoche Sapon. You are all welcome. If you have any questions for Jeffrey, kindly place it in the comment section and I'll let him answer it in due time. So, sir, we'll continue with the questioning.
I'll continue with the answering.
There's a broad conversation from which we are having one, the skills for the future of work. And most often than not, we focus on the Western countries. But there is a clear distinction in the terrains and cultural application of skills. And so what do you think skills for the future of work means for the African context, and especially in the Ghanaian context?
That's a deep one. That's a deep one. I think we as Africans, we want to start translating skills into our current environments. Okay. And that requires a deeper understanding than just repetition, if what I'm saying is making sense. So if you really understand what an LLM is, okay, ChatGPT, Claude, all these tools, they are LLMs. Do we have an Afro GPT? We don't. Okay. So I have a friend. I have a friend who is part of my fraternity, my our platform, my disco boy. He always challenges us. Okay. He always I'm not going to mention his name. He's probably going to watch this. He always challenges us to say, we are so Western focused. It's about time we start explaining things to people in Ewe. It's time we start explaining things to people in Ghana. So I think that in the context of our application, it's very important that we develop change agents. When I say developing change agents, people who are able to interpret what we are doing from a Western point of view and explain it to people in a language that they understand. I think he may have passed. What's the guy's name? The guy who used to make cars in Ghana. Kantanka. Okay. I don't know if he was well read. I don't know much about him. But the guy was creating things that the West was creating. But he was creating these things in an African context. So contextualizing, and let me tell you one thing that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of work, a lot of jobs actually rising in Africa. And you know what's happening to the West right now? They are quickly learning about African environments. Believe it or not, a lot of organizations have area studies now. If they want to invest in East Africa, okay, they want to go learn about the culture in East Africa, what it means, what these things mean, So we have to learn about ourselves. And so we have a good role. We have a good, I would say, who's Grace? Oh, I know Grace very well. She's my next door neighbor. Grace Akwaba. So what I think when you talk about contextualizing the knowledge and the messaging, it's going to start with relevant change agents and people who position themselves to actually understand the technical things that are done in the workplace and translate them. Because very soon, what is going to happen, these are facts on the ground. What's going to happen is that Africa is going to have a lot of work-ready folks who may not necessarily speak. I mean, when I came to the United States early on, anytime I open my mouth, they'll be like, huh? They never really understood me. So it takes a while for us to kind of adapt into systems. In the same vein, whenever we are talking AI, we're talking some of these things, it's important that we understand it will take a little bit of a minimum of 90 days. But whatever we do, we want to be able to think about it. Okay, if we understand the skills to be step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, in the context of selling coconuts, how can we apply step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4? Okay, so the people who become translators of the skills into the local context, and remember, Africa has 54 different countries, probably 100 different cultures. So you're going to need several of those change agents, but they are going to become very relevant, and they are going to have to interpret things to the people on the ground on how to apply some of these skills. And that's really what's going to make that big difference. I hope it answered your question. Yes, but that's a very deep question.
Yeah, it is. Yes. So many young graduates are coming into a workspace where their degree did not prepare them for what is the reality. And so what would you say to that gap between education and employability?
Another deep question. Where do you get your questions from today? Did you speak to the gods to say, ask me these questions? Because this is something I've been contemplating myself. Okay. This is something I've been contemplating myself, and I don't want to blame one entity. It is a systemic problem that we have in Africa. Okay. We are so tied to legacy systems. What do I mean? During the colonial periods, okay, the people who trained us in Western education, they only taught us the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic, because they just needed clerks in the offices. And we haven't chosen to shift from there. We've stayed to it, and people are proud of their degrees, which realistically doesn't really add any value to the workplace. Okay. So what is happening is, a lot of people say, oh, these days graduates come out and they don't know anything. Well, you didn't teach them anything. So don't, if you taught them what they needed to do in the workplace, if you took them to internship programs, they would be ready for the workplace. And if you look at US universities, let me praise US universities for a bit. Before Americans go to school, you know what their parents do? They go look at post-graduation statistics, post-graduation employment statistics. Okay, people who went into this program, how many of them got jobs within the first 3 months? Which companies did they work for? All that data is provided. Okay, because when they are building that curriculum, what they do is they reach out to industries, they reach out to companies to say, what skills do you need from people who are studying pharmacology, psychology, archaeology, whatever it is. And then companies will sit down and say, we need people who can do ABC. And then they make sure that those techniques and those skills and those applications are contextualized and baked into the curriculum. Let's take banking, for example. Okay, people who come out with a degree in banking, they probably would have interned in a bank. They don't just talk about investment banking. They've spoken with investment bankers. Okay, so when they finish school and you put them next to a computer in the workplace, they know exactly what to do. Oh, it looks like we lost you. Yeah, they know exactly. I mean, imagine there was a time where, dear Ghana, there was a time I think we had 4 planes or so, but we were producing almost 50 airline pilots. Which planes were they flying? So how do you, if you have 2 pilots, you have 2 pilots, one learn everything on a blackboard. This is how the plane takes off. That's how it lands and everything. And they never got the chance. I have a friend who's a pilot. Okay. He went to piloting school in Ghana throughout. But after piloting school, he had to come back to Florida to actually learn how to fly planes. But then you have people, you have practical flight studies. People go and pay $200 and they learn how to fly. They don't even go through the academic program. You get a point. I did an internship a while ago with Delta Airlines, and it was an internship where I was actually designing programs. Okay. We were put in a cockpit and it was a simulated flight. Okay. With weather vagaries, and you have to control the flight and everything. So a person who goes through that training knows how to handle conditions when they experience a challenge in the air versus a person who read everything on the book. So the truth is that let's not blame the graduates alone. It's what we are feeding them, what we are teaching them. And this is where governments have to come in and get practical about solving problems, being a solution. Let education be a solution. Don't let education just be something you take people through and all these people come out and they can't get it. Imagine if you were a parent. Imagine if you're a parent and you work so hard to pay your kid's school fees, and a kid comes out of school and doesn't have a job waiting. It's going to hurt. Okay. Now, let me call on the Minister of Education, Haruna, who happens to be a very good friend of mine, actually. We ate Benku together. We did everything together. We went to Legon. He and I are like this. I know he's capable. I know he recently talked about infusing digital literacy into Ghana's education. I'm challenging him and I'm calling on him. I know he works for somebody else. He works for president, but I know Haruna is capable. I'm challenging him to really get serious about this because the future is Africa. I'm actually presenting at a conference in a few days. I'm presenting at a global conference on spotlighting Africa. And I'll tell you something. If you look at what the data is saying, Africa is going to be rich and prosperous. But you don't want what happened to South Africa to happen to us, where they gained independence, but they didn't have people ready to fill roles. And so that's how the Ghanaians and Zimbabweans and the Namibians, those who were qualified. I had a lot of friends who were lawyers. When apartheid regime got crossed out, they were looking for lawyers. They were looking for judges. They were looking for engineers. They didn't have them in South Africa. Even though they have universities there, the blacks were not going to the universities. So it was fellow Africans who moved there, and then their relatives start joining them. Okay, I'm not a politician, but you don't want a situation where companies start establishing more and more in Africa, and you can't find Africans who can do it. So Africans have to start bridging the gap today. Africans have to really get serious about building technical skills, not so that is the reality. I mean, that's, I think, is the situation we're dealing with. We don't want to blame, and we don't want to say the students aren't learning. If you can't call somebody lazy if you didn't give them a job to do. Okay, if you say people come out of school without the practical skills, blame yourself too. You didn't teach them anything. What is in the curriculum that is designed to properly prepare these guys to be relevant in the workplace? There's a core gap. We understand that. But you don't have to build courses just based on what you think is going to work. If you really want to understand how business works, it's important to always look at marketplace dynamics. What is the marketplace looking for? Okay, if the market is looking for an AI engineer, don't go train I don't want to mention any role. Don't go train a role that is not necessarily fitting for AI engineering and expect them to get a job. Because the companies told you right from the beginning they are looking for AI engineers. You never produce AI engineers. I was at a meeting in Ghana, and I sat next to somebody from a top university, and we were having a conversation, and I told them this is what I see to be the gap, that we don't really get serious about certain things. After the meeting, the person called me and said, "Is there any way you can come speak to our lecturers for me?" So the problem is not just the students, and maybe the universities are not well resourced, and maybe the government is not putting enough money towards it, or maybe the people are not paying enough taxes to be moved in that direction. So it's a systemic problem that needs to be fixed. You see a lot of people saying they are going on strike. Most of them don't have jobs. What are you striking for? You know what I mean? You don't have a job. You didn't have a job in the first place. You didn't create a job. You didn't do anything. So we need to get a little more serious, because there are positive currents flowing our way. Africa is going to become very powerful. Let me give some data. To support that. The current average age of the US population is 38 years. Okay. The current average age of the German population is 46 years. The current average age of the Japanese population is 49 years. They're almost 50 years. Okay. Do you know the current average age of Africans? 19 years. So project 20 years into the future. The average 19-year-old in Africa is going to be 39 years. Healthy, skilled in AI, and ready to implement. Okay. Now, the people in the West, take Japan, for example. If trends continue the same way, okay, what's going to happen is that in 20 years, the average age is going to move around 68, 70. That's retirement age. So they are going to need more people to come there. Even if they are not going to give visas for people to come there, they are going to outsource jobs to Africa. So people will sit in Africa and be working for Japanese companies. Are you one of those people? Are you prepared? It's going to happen. Okay. The good news is I recently had to make a number of calls. And in the past, most of the customer service calls that I was making were going to Philippines. You place a call for a company customer service, and a Filipino, "Hello, this is me. This is them." Like, "Oh, okay. Where are you from?" "I'm based in Manila." Can you believe that the past 3 or so calls that I made, one came to Ghana? I was so impressed, And the guy was telling me, he said, "Oh, I started speaking to you with the person. And the person was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I can't talk much because we have a limited period." I'm like, wow. The next one went to Kenya. So you know what that's telling you? People are starting to believe in Africa. He said everything we do is monitored. So I can't be chatting, but maybe I can't even take your number. But if I meet you, I know your name. If I meet you on social media or something, we'll connect. You get what I mean? So it means that there are people who are building themselves already in Ghana. There are people who are picking US calls, even if the person is making $5 an hour. That's 50 Ghana. So if the person works for 8 hours, they are making 400 Ghana. If the person works for a week, they work for 2 weeks, they work for a month, they are almost getting the salary of a banker. And all the person is doing is customer service. So build yourself now. Learn AI skills. Be data fluent. Learn prompt engineering. Learn some of these things. Because much as they are not going to be standalone skills, people who have them as standalone skills will do well. They are going to be skills that are infused into everyday life and into the work that we do. So whether you're a marketer, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're a finance person, ask yourself, how does AI augment what you're doing? How does that AI support what you're doing? Be good at it. That will distinguish you, and companies will look for you. Okay, so basically, that's the point. I hope I answered your question well. I go on and on and on and on, but I'm just sharing the truth.
Yes, you made it clear that the responsibility is shared.
From a lot of people, most of the time we blame the students. You didn't teach them. You didn't teach them, and I tell my daughter that I know you are smarter than me. Because for me, I came in an era where we had to go put coins in a thing. So you came up at a time where I remember, I think I'm quite technically competent. But sometimes my TV breaks down, she fixes it in a matter of seconds. Oh, Daddy, you are old school. I'm like, what are you telling me? So sometimes when we're getting rusty, we don't even know. And the fact that we can speak good English makes us think that we should be dominant over people. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, and I'm not praising them, these Gen Zs are ready. They are hungry. They just need mentors. They need people to put them in positions to challenge them. I mean, recently I think Ghana won a robotics contest, and they were with Canadians, they were with Americans, they were in their suite. So they're intelligent people. We're not giving them the right environment to flourish. So my good friend Haruna, please do this for me. All right.
So once again, if you just joined us, you are welcome to today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest, brought to you by Sedat Consult Limited. I can see Grace from Tema, and there's a D from Tema also. I can see Joseph Kine, who is an HR professional in Liberia. You're welcome, Joseph. There is Bona from Tema. Yes, so we have a question from an audience, but before we get to that, I would like to tell you about our services. Sedat Consult is committed to continuous professional development, and for that matter, our services ranging from training and development, recruitment and talent acquisition, staff outsourcing, service outsourcing, payroll administration, compensation and benefits management, salary structures and building competitive salary structures, any other duty your basic HR department performs, Sedat does, with the help of experienced consultants in the industry. We have an upcoming training on organizing an effective training and development at our Kumasi office on the 2nd and 3rd of July, a 2-day training going for the rate of 2,600 Ghana cedis. I would entreat you to add this to your calendar. Also, we have an upcoming training at our Accra office from the 15th to 17th of July on HR data analytics, using data for business development. This is a 3-day training from the 15th to the 17th of July at our Accra office in La Paz for the rate of 3,600 Ghana cedis. As part of our commitment for professional development and support, we are connecting mentees and mentors. And so for the mentees, we call on final year students and early professionals in their career to apply. And then we are going to connect you with experienced professionals in numerous fields for you to tap into their knowledge, tap into their guidance, because you cannot do this alone. So in addition to that, we also have workstations for our remote workers. Yes, so you will find that at our Accra office in La Paz. So for this, you get access to suitable amenities, a conducive environment. We have a training room also for organizations who want to organize trainings for their staff. You have access to wireless fidelity, a fast one for that matter. Yes, so I can see a lot of people joining. We have Brago from Amasaman, we have JJ Hammond from Kaswa, and we have Benedict Laveridge. You're all welcome. We have Yvonne Owusu-Setre from Adenta. You're welcome, Yvonne. Yes, so the question comes from Anansi. He's asking, what should students do in this case where our curriculum is actually more theoretical? What advice would you give to the students?
An important question. I believe I know who Anansi Air Labs is, you know. So thank you for joining. And I also want to acknowledge Dr. Yate, who's a very good friend of mine, you know. One of the things he and I are talking, actually, Dr. Yate and I are talking. We actually spoke before this session. You know, it's this way. If you know that you need skills, and you know your school is only giving you the knowledge, okay, you want to kind of expand your skill set by yourself. There's nothing wrong with building capability yourself. Okay. I, for one, nobody taught me artificial intelligence. But well, when AI came up, I hopped on IBM skills build. I hopped on Google. I hopped on Amazon. I hopped on all these places to say, I really want an understanding. And then when I got into some of these LLM tools, I pay for them. You know, I can go in and say, this is the concept I really want to understand. Teach me, break this down to me step by step in a 3-week program, how you would do it for, let's say, an 8-year-old. And it will walk you through. I don't understand this. Explain. Look, let me say something. My MBA program, I'm not a super quantitatively endowed person. Okay. In finance and statistics, I knew I was going to struggle. But anytime I never understood anything, I went to what I call my YouTube university. Put the question in, and you have 10 different professors explaining it. At least one of them will explain it in layman's terms for you to understand. That's how I passed some of these exams. So the point is, if you are not getting it here, go find it where you can get it, because you know, and that also raises a very important question. You are the ultimate owner of your brand. You know, you came into the world alone. The teachers will teach you, but at the end of the day, you're going to work alone. So build the skills. If you realize that your muscles are atrophying, go pay money elsewhere. Go build yourself, and then recoup it when you become the. I was hanging out with a certain guy from China, and he was studying. He told me he was saying advanced computational mathematics, and I'm like, what do you do with that? He said, my dad told me something. And I said, what did your dad tell you? I want to hear too, please. He said, there are 2 types of hustle. Okay. There's the hustle that is pressure-free, where you do the most difficult things when nobody's watching, when everybody's asleep. So that by the time you go to the market, when they're looking for that role, you're the only person who's qualified. And he said most people like soft life. They go do courses that 99% of the population is doing. So when we all graduate and Kwame's uncle is the minister and Kwame gets a job, then we say the government is not helping us. You did not help yourself. You should have been studying. You knew you don't have an uncle in government, you know. So become the person who studies advanced computational mathematics. When Bank of Ghana is looking for that person, okay, when they post that job, you're the only person who's going to apply. Nobody else can get it. So the jobs are ready for you. It's simple demand and supply. If you are the only person who can do it, if you are the only person who can fix an electric bulb in such a way that nobody else can, the 10 jobs will be begging for you. And that's when you raise your price. So the amount you spend gathering more skills and expertise and experience, you put it on top of your pricing because everybody's looking for you. You get a point. So we have to do a little more. That's bottom line what I'm trying to say. Let me use myself as an example. Okay. I used to work in parliament. And back in Ghana before I came here, I used to work in parliament and I was getting paid decently. But day in, day out, I saw people who went to school in America, in Canada, in France. The former president, Akufo-Addo, he and I were in the same committee, foreign affairs. We used to chat regularly. Okay. Now, when I look at these people, I was like, why can't I be like them? So guess what I did? I started those days. There was a com center. We used to go to com centers to send emails. Okay, I would go to com center. There was a seat that I bought because I didn't want a situation where I go there and there are 20 people ahead of me. So I had a seat where I had paid for it the whole month. So people who come, you can use Jeffrey's seat for now. But when Jeffrey shows up, you get off. And I do it. Okay. Some people are laughing at me. Some people are like, hey, I'm breaching our say. I leave work and I go sit at the com center applying for jobs. People didn't know what I was doing. But I was doing whatever it takes to get to America. Okay. I used to leave work and go to the USIS. So the point I'm trying to say is encourage yourself, give yourself some motivation, give yourself some hope, challenge yourself to do something that other people aren't doing. Then you get a visa and you come to this part of the world, and it's still a struggle for some time. But ultimately, you end up being in places where most people haven't been. So the truth is, we said there are no opportunities in Africa, but people are setting up rice farms and they're becoming millionaires. So whatever skill you have, whatever you've acquired, look for ways and means to augment it. This person who asked the question, I know him very well. Okay. When he and I spoke a while ago, I saw something in him that most people don't have. I saw a certain level of drive because I design programs. And I usually reach out to him and say, let's talk. So when you have the ability to do something others can do, people spot it. I've worked with a recruitment company for a long time, for over 12 years. When I see talent, I see it. And when I see, I also see that. So let's challenge ourselves a little more. Let's not always wait on the government to do things. Let's not always wait on the government to do things. There are so many. Look, you can go on YouTube and type, walk me through step by step how to manually. Look, I have a friend. I'm not going to mention his name. I have a very good friend, a neighbor. Do you know that this guy was charged a huge amount to fix his car by a mechanic? He told me, Jeffrey, I'm not going to the mechanic anymore. You know what he does now? He joined YouTube groups where they learn how to fix cars. Now people bring cars to him. When there's this problem XYZ with a car, he just diagnoses it and says, okay, when I went to YouTube, they said, fix this, fix that. And the cars move around. He fixes cars. Okay. I had hair. Let me tell you something. My daughter used to ask me, I had a lot of hair when I came to the United States. In the first week, I wanted to go cut my hair. Okay. And then I went to the barber shop and they cut my hair and they told me it was going to be $15. And then when I was giving the $15, the person I went with was like, come on now, you need to give a tip. I gave $20. When I came initially, okay, the US dollar was $700. I could eat 50 Ghana, okay? That thing could afford me a whole month of gobe. So, I've only cut my hair once, and I've been in this country 20-something years. I bought a clipper set right after that, and I started learning how to cut my hair. Now I cut my hair, and people ask me, who cut your hair like that? I cut it myself. So, the point I'm trying to establish, I know I'm going in a long-winded way, but the point I'm trying to establish is necessity is the mother of invention. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you know clearly that the university is only giving you theoretical knowledge, motivate yourself and find what will augment it so that you become that standout person who is able to do what other people cannot do. I mean, if we all study computer science, but you can fix the back end of computers because you learned that in addition to your degree, you are the one who's going to get a job. So just augment it and let it come from whichever source. Invest. One other thing, and I'm going to hit hard, I'm going to tell the truth. We don't like paying for education. Our folks back home, we don't like paying for education. You're announcing some courses that you guys are offering right now. 2,600. Do you think the Ghanaian will just take 2,600 to go pay for it? Unless they see the value they are getting, etc., etc. But in where I live, when people are, because the emphasis is on competency, not necessarily who you know. Okay. The emphasis is on competency. Who can do the job? So people will pay, some people will pay you to mentor them because they know that that's going to give them an opportunity. But just tell folks that Sarkodie and Shatawale are coming together. People will bring $4,000 to go and watch it. Then they'll put it on social media. Shatanio. And then when you don't get a job tomorrow, you're angry. When you were paying for Shatta and Sarkodie, okay, somebody else was studying computational physics with Sedat, with Jobberman, with whichever organization. And when they get a job, you get angry. You say it's witchcraft. It's not witchcraft, it's you. I'm sorry, but we have to be honest with each other. We have to put our monies where our skills are, because the skills are going to become necessary.
Yes, so on to our last question for the day. I will merge two questions. So picking from what you just said, skills for the future of work. You have spoken about the responsibility of you, the employee, to own your development. But herein lies the case where you work for an organization, giving so much to them. What responsibility does an organization have in developing its workforce for the future? And in the case there is a budget restraint, a resource restraint, which happens often in our here parts of the world, what do you advise organizations to do?
So you've put two questions in one. Can you ask again?
Yes.
Let me take notes so I follow clearly.
Yes. So the first question is about the responsibility organizations have in developing the skills of their employees for the future.
Okay.
Yes. And the second part of the question is, in the case an organization is interested in developing the skills of its employees, but there is the limitation of a resource constraint, what do you advise they do? What do they prioritize and what do they not?
Okay, so thank you very much. That's a deep question. Let me also break it down. So the first one is you're looking for the organizations, which role the organization, the responsibility of the organization to develop its employees. Okay. So let me ask the question differently, or let me answer the question differently. You have two people who want to get in a fight. They're both it's jousting. They're gonna use swords. One doesn't sharpen their sword. One sharpens their sword all the time. Okay. Which of them is likely to win the fight?
The one with a sharpened sword.
It's as simple as that. Okay. Let's see. Let me check something for here. Oh, sure. Okay. One, whoever, think about it this way. Organizations need to understand that their competence in this competitive marketplace is really their employees. Employees are your tools to compete, to get on top as a world-ranked organization. You know why some companies do very well over other companies? Because they train their people so well. So that's number one. I think that the company really has to clearly understand that the employees are their competitive advantage. In fact, realistically, humans are the only competitive advantage. You buy Mac computers, others can buy Mac computers. But why do you think some countries continuously win the World Cup? They train their people more, they have more facilities. And then we go with hopes and we say, this year we are taking it, but we never go past a certain point because they are constantly building. They're sharpening their sword all the time. So that's the first part of it. Invest in your people. They are your strategic asset. That's number one. And the second one, to me, yes, you have to prioritize. Okay, you have to prioritize. But in a time like this, where AI literacy, where I would say building skills is very important to organizational success, one, dedicate more money towards it. Dedicate more money towards it. Let it be the priority. I'm going to give you an example. Sorry, I'm going to manage my time very well. There was an organization that I worked for, okay, in 2008, when we dealt with some serious financial crisis across the United States. And when other people were laying people off, you know what this organization did? They signed commitment packages with people and said, we are going to commit more to investing in you. So you will lose your job. We'll take you to more trainings. But also give us that commitment that when this whole crisis is over, you will stay with us for the next 10 years. The people who signed, they took them to world-class trainings. Guess what? As soon as the financial crisis, became over with, this company started expanding 3, 4, 5-fold. You know why? Because they had the best employees in the world. So when people are struggling, build your muscles. So it's a strategic, for me, if I was a CEO of a company, when things are getting tight, put more money towards training. If that is your competitive edge, build people. And the problem that I see, and truthfully, the problem I see in Africa is people think that when they post a job, they're going to get million applications. So they don't care. They don't care about their folk. But what if Kevin comes to the company and Kevin becomes so good that Kevin decides to go to a competitor company? They are living with the skills and they are living with the tribal knowledge. They are living with tacit information and everything. They've seen your databases. So when Kevin moves to a different company, Kevin is your biggest threat. You didn't keep your wife who knows your bank account number. You let your wife divorce you and go somewhere else. Well, that person can destroy you when they are in the opposite camp. So that's how I'm going to end it.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sadly, we are coming to the end of today's episode of the Sedat HR Digest. If you just joined us, you'll find the recording on our YouTube channel right after the live stream. Today, we discussed the skills for future of work with Jeffrey Mac Boham, an experienced professional. Sir, so your last words for someone who is listening right now and is uncertain whether or not the skills they have is ready for the future. What do you have to say to them?
So before I give my last word, let me acknowledge one gentleman here, Ato Kwamina Ebisata, who is technically a family member. I hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him. So Ankrato Bokodie. I think that I want to encourage folks. I just want to finish this by encouraging folks and letting folks know, Madam Happy, thank you so much. I want to encourage folks that hope is not lost. Okay. And if they really want to bask in a level of happiness, I want to share what it is that Africa is the next frontier. The jobs are coming to Africa. We don't need visas to make money anymore. The companies are actually going to come to us. The French president is attending meetings in Africa now. You know why? Because Africans are holding on to their resources. They are saying that, you know what, we're not going to give you the cocoa beans anymore. Come build a factory here for us to process the cocoa and you can take the chocolate back with you. So the Africans are going to have jobs. Okay. The next important, Uncle Joe de Graft. Thank you so much, boss. Uncle Joe is also a good classmate of mine to my parents. Rapping him.
Yes.
He's a Don himself. Yeah, hey, Charlie, me check crowd though. Yeah. Anyway, the jobs are coming to Africa. That's the reality. And let me explain why. Demographically alone, Africa is at a very advantageous position. We have the men, we have the people, we have the energy. We are young, we are vibrant, and we are curious. We are learning new skills. We are picking up AI. The gentleman that asked the question, I'm not going to mention his name. I'm talking to him right after this session. That guy, I watched him on social media. He's always creating things. He's creating bots. He's creating things. He's just making things happen. If this person was in America, he would be a millionaire by now. Okay. So now that this person is prepared and the jobs are coming to Africa, okay, that guy, he's going to succeed already. So my thing is, don't think that when you're building capabilities and skills and competencies, don't think that you're doing it in vain. Because even if some people are not getting visas to go outside, the jobs are coming to you now. Companies are starting to partner. Watch what is happening. A lot of companies are creating partnerships now. You know why? Because they want to co-source. I'm telling you this as a fact, based on data. They want to have sourcing opportunities. They happen with India. You have a lot of Indians who work in American companies who don't necessarily live in America, but they earn dollars. Okay, because they have built their skill set. They are competent as Americans. They are very technically competent. I've been working with them. You get a point. And sometimes they teach me things. I'm like, whoa, are these things in India already? So it's just making time, building competencies, being a standout personality. And the jobs, don't think you have to apply for the jobs. What we used to call brain drain is actually going to become brain gain, because Africans would not want to travel anymore for people to give them negative attitudes.
Right.
Okay, they're going to build at home. Yeah. So just be encouraged. Right. There's more opportunities coming to Africa. Yeah. I have a friend who he left Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Okay, he was in the U.S. military. He left Pennsylvania and came to establish a company in Ghana. You know what he told me recently? He was like, that's the best decision I made. Because what he does, he's made so much money out of it in Ghana that he's even surprised. So there's money in Ghana. There's money. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money to be made. Yes, happy, it's true. The jobs are coming to share. The people who complain to investors near because the system here is saturated. You post a job, you have 3,000 other people who are equally qualified. So imagine if you take your skill set and go to Ghana. Do you know that the number of people who have told me they will give me jobs when I come to Ghana? There are jobs in Ghana, literally. There are jobs, lots and lots and lots of jobs in Ghana. What they need is competent people. Not just people who can do, but people who can equally articulate what they're doing very well. So build that capability, and that's it. The money is there waiting for you. A friend of mine went to Bank of Ghana. I mentioned the name. A friend of mine went to Bank of Ghana, and she was like, whoa, Ghana for risk. Let me say, Bank of Ghana. When you qualify to work there, you will see that money too. You are closer to the source. Anyway, I know we're running out of time.
Build your capabilities. That's among a lot of things that I picked from Sir Jeffrey Mac Boham today. I really liked your data on the average ages.
It's true.
You gave us. It's very informative. I'm sure you listening to us also picked something from Sir Jeffrey. We thank you again, Sir Jeffrey, for joining us and for sharing your knowledge. Remember that this and every Sunday, we come to you live in your homes, in your offices, wherever you are watching us from, at exactly 4 p.m. GMT for the Sedat HR Digest, a free webinar. Kindly do share the link whenever you come across it to other professionals to join into. Thank you again, and we'll see you next Sunday for the next session. Goodbye.